Good morning, everybody. We just updated membership on our third priority on global growth of the league. That's the team across the session last night, focused on women's sports and women in sports, and certainly had a flag football focus. This morning's session, the opening session, also included Maz Malonzo, who's a member of our International Player Pathway Program, and then the session that I just came out of was focused on global growth overall. Obviously, a big priority, and thrilled coming out of 2024 around the continued momentum. You know, we're focused, we're building, we've got a challenger mindset. We came out of a 2024 season that was the most watched NFL regular season outside of the U.S. ever. Came out of 5 successful regular season games. Continued growth on a lot of our core platforms, including on our Game Pass product, which continued to grow significantly. But most of this morning was focused on the future. Really focused on, as we head into 2025, what's ahead of us. As you all know, and we previously announced, excited for the slate of 2025 international regular season games. 7 games across 6 stadiums, 5 countries, 2 continents, 2 games at Tottenham, 1 at Wembley, game returning to Sao Paulo, Brazil in week 1, and then for the first time ever, excited to have a regular season game in Berlin, Germany, Madrid, Spain, and then the Steelers as the designated team in Dublin, Ireland. Clearly, those aren't the only markets we're focused on, continuing to work across the league and the clubs to build momentum in Canada, in Mexico, and in Australia, New Zealand, where, as you all know, at Super Bowl, we announced the first ever regular season game in Australia, in Melbourne, Australia, at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, featuring the Los Angeles Rams as the designated home team. Lots of different drivers of our work. Games get the most visibility. What we talked a lot about this morning is it's about year-round, on-the-ground efforts to drive fandom, drive cultural relevance, and be in these markets for the long term with patience and making sure that our commitment is clear and we're building fandom. That includes participation. Flag plays a big role for girls and boys at the grassroots level on up to that Olympic platform in LA 28. Our academies, we have 2 academies, one in the UK, serving European and African athletes, and then in Australia now in the APAC region with our academy open there. And then the International Player Pathway Program continues to be a focal point. Those young men are training at IMG Academy just up in Bradenton right now. Like I mentioned, Maz, a member of that class, was with us this morning to tell his story. And already one member of that class has been signed, a German kicker signed by the Falcons. So excited about that momentum. The main announcement this morning is around the Global Markets Program, which is a core strategic driver as well. We all know the importance of having a favorite team and creating that connection to a favorite team. That's the heart of the Global Markets Program. There's the reveal, which I didn't time perfectly, but there is the reveal of the program, which takes us to big picture, 29 NFL clubs, now members of the Global Markets Program, across 21 markets. 4 new clubs added this year. The 4 new clubs, Baltimore Ravens were granted rights in the United Kingdom. Green Bay Packers were granted rights in Germany, UK, and Ireland. The Los Angeles Chargers were granted rights in Greece. And the Washington Commanders were granted rights in the UAE. So the 2 new markets. You have 4 new clubs, 2 new markets, Greece being a new market with the Chargers, and UAE being a new market, the LA Rams, San Francisco 49ers, and the Washington Commanders. Again, big picture now, 29 NFL clubs in 21 markets, again, with the focus of building resonance and relevance in those markets and fandom, and combining efforts with the league in doing that. So with that, I will pause. Happy to take any questions, but excited about the growth of that program and the engagement with the clubs.
Thank you, Peter. Your microphone's on the side. Yeah, it looks like Sam Farr.
Thanks very much.
Sure.
UAE is a particular interest to me. Do you envision games in the
Sure. We don't know timing, and it's really an if in terms of whether we'll play a game there. What I will say is that's a market where there's strong interest in our game, strong interest in growing our game on a year-round basis. I think that's why you see 3 clubs raising their hand with interest there. And it's a market we'll continue to explore. We've done some exploratory trips there to understand the viability of a potential regular season game in the market. But saying we got more work to do there in terms of what that looks like over this next stretch. But obviously an important market, and one which has hosted significant events in other sports in recent years, whether that's NBA or global soccer or F1. So there are learnings there, but we're going to do it as we try to in all of these markets in the right, thoughtful, cadence way. Yeah, sorry, definitely interest high. Absolutely interest high. I think that's frankly what we're seeing around the world is as we've made decisions to come into more markets, the Australia announcement being a big one, that was a statement announcement, and that has only ratcheted up the interest from other parts of the world, not only around games, but working with the league on a year-round basis in terms of how do we partner in the right ways to grow the game together. So definitely high interest in.
20 Rosie, Cleveland.
As far as the London games in particular, do you have any information on dates for opponents? Not say when.
Not yet. We are working through that process. The opponents piece will be closer to the schedule release. So in that May window leading up, that's obviously one of many factors that go into that scheduling algorithm. And then dates, still finalizing those. Obviously, there's a bit of a track record around when generally in the schedule those London games have been, but won't be fully locked in until we get to that schedule release period in May.
Mark Maskey.
Peter, the announced international games for next season, the ones that are announced, will that be it for next season, the international games, or is there still a possibility of being someplace?
We're going to be 7, Mark, the announced 7 in 2025, including those 3 new markets and stadiums. So excited about that 7, with an eye towards going north of that in 2026 and beyond.
Jerry Dulac, Pittsburgh.
Peter, along the same lines as Tony Grossman asked, the Steelers game in Ireland, the opponent and date, will that come out when the schedule is released, or perhaps earlier?
It will be in and around the schedule release. I know that sounds vague. It may not be at that very moment, but it'll be in that window, if not at schedule release, right prior to that. Really important to look at all of the factors and get the best possible schedule out there after the draft.
Mark Fisher.
Following up Mark's question, looking at 26 and beyond, what is a theoretical number that you can get to with international games and factoring in all the other days on the schedule?
Sure. Right now, the resolution that the owners passed is for up to 8 regular season games. That's part of the current resolution. That does not include the what we call the club opportunity models, which the Jaguars take advantage of. So for this year, the 7 is the 6 plus the Jaguars game. We have the ability to go up to 8 via the resolution, not including those Jaguars game or games. So that's the framework in which we look at 2026.
Go a couple more. Back to that.
But does having marketing rights translate to having a better chance of having an international game?
It does. It's not fully defined that if you have those rights, you'll get that game. But clearly, our scheduling team looks to match up those things. Clearly, with rights in the market, you're activating year-round, and then the game is an inflection point. So good examples from this year coming up will be obviously the Steelers. Rights in Ireland, this is an inflection point. Similarly, the Dolphins in Spain have had rights in Spain for a while. This is an opportunity to really shine a spotlight and propel those forward. Colts with rights in Germany. So a lot of factors go in the schedule, but certainly that is one of them. We try to line that up, both as a designated team, in some cases where possible, look at is there an opponent that may make sense given their ranks there as well?
We'll do two more. Vicky on the right.
When it comes to expansion, how do you determine where geographically around the world you're going to, or the NFL is going to expand? Is it solely based on interest, or are there other factors?
You really look at where the opportunity is. You look at what's the state of the fan base today, where is there that interest, what does it look like, and then what does the potential look like? What's the potential to grow that fan base, build relevance? What are the barriers there? In some places there may be real opportunity down the line, but there are a lot of barriers. So it starts with where can we really accelerate fandom and cultural relevance, and then what's the strategic and ultimately financial opportunity down the line. So we've obviously selected these new markets that we're going into very strategically. Brazil was that choice last year, Spain this year, Australia next year. We'll learn, and that's what we're doing. We are, as I referenced before, we're a challenger brand. We know our position. We come with a mindset of let's partner, let's learn, let's grow together in these markets. But there's a lot of effort that goes into the decision of what's that next market.
Last question for Peter. Randall Williams, Bloomberg.
Hey Peter, I wonder how much are you thinking about flag football in the Olympics with this? A lot of countries up there, and there's going to be a lot of countries in LA in 2028. Are you thinking about flag football when you're planning these things as well?
We are. And flag plays a role at all levels. It starts at the bottom of the pyramid. It's that entry point. It's the way we can scale our game. It's girls and boys in schools who now, not only via our efforts, but since that Olympic announcement a couple of years ago, the investment in these countries and others around the world in flag programs is huge, and that has obviously participation impact, but fandom impact in a really real way. And then if you look at, take a country like Australia. Australia is a great sporting market, an opportunity where you've got some similar sports to American football, where you can transition athletes. The next Olympic Games after LA is in Brisbane 32, so you certainly think about that. We talked to the ownership this morning about the 7 things that really will drive our success in these markets, and flag is very core to those, as well as building local heroes and building that connection. Jordan Mailata is probably the greatest example of that, the first player out of the IPP, International Player Pathway Program, to now win a Super Bowl. This was the highest rated Super Bowl in Australia ever. We announced a game. Eagles have rights in Australia. Jordan is a star player, really strong viewership. So you start to draw some of those lines. So to your core question, it all connects, and flag's a big part of it.
Hey, thank you very much, Peter.